Alya Cesaire defenders, lock in. We ride at dawn because ain't nothing funny until we defend our girl, okay? Alya Cesaire, they can never make me hate you. Never, ever, 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 ever make me hate you. And that's why, as head of Alya Cesaire Defense Club, I'm locking in. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's the one and only, your girl, the cartoon hotspot, and in today's video, I'm going to be analysing the episode Revelator, which is season 6, episode 11 of Miraculous Ladybug. Now, I know. Girl, where have you been? You completely disappeared for an entire month. Why haven't you uploaded YouTube videos? Why did you ghost us? And I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but take a look. New background, okay? The reason why I disappeared over a month ago is because I've quite literally been in the process of moving countries. So I am no longer living in the UK anymore. I'm no longer living in London. I decided to move to Canada. And so for the past couple of weeks, I've just kind of been settling down and just finding my feet and, you know, really getting comfortable in a new city. And so far it's been great. But now that I'm settled down, I'm back, okay? And we are going to start off with a bang. We are going to analyze the episode Revelator because that episode 8, okay? I was gagged. I was truly gagged. Season 6 has been cooking so far, and I'm not mad. I'm still cautiously optimistic, but hey, like, keep them coming because season 6 so far has been really enjoyable. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is G, and I like to make reaction videos, analysis videos, video essays on the various media that I enjoy, and I like to dissect them from a writer's perspective. Such media include Miraculous Ladybug, Winx Club, The Legend of Korra, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Arcane, and so much more. So if that's something that you're interested in, hey, why don't you subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and click that bell button for post notifications. Without further ado, let's begin. So I'm going to give a quick breakdown / summary of the episode in case some of you guys missed it, because I do know a good chunk of you have stopped watching the show, understandably, but still continue to kind of watch it through me. And for that, you are so real and I very much appreciate you. The episode starts off with Ladybug and Cat Noir training the other heroes on how to stay transformed after the 5-minute time limit. And honestly, this moment kind of feels really oddly paced, like it literally had nothing to do with the rest of the episode. I kind of feel like this moment would have been better placed in the first episode of season 6, which we are still yet to receive, by the way. But hey, it kind of felt like a flashback, and I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. It was random. It was supposed to be the teaser of the episode, but the teaser of the episode is usually related to what the episode is about. At the beach, Marinette, Adrien, and Alya are on a call for double date, and they're trying to enjoy their day off. However, Alya is frustrated about something, like, I don't know, being a hero is holding her back from pursuing journalism the way she wants, and keeping secret just goes against everything she stands for, and it's honestly starting to wear her down. Gotta be honest with you guys, I don't really know what she was complaining about because the episode was released in the Brazilian Portuguese dub, so it was kind of hard to follow through. But from what I understood is that she kind of misses reporting on the Ladybug as much as she used to, and reporting content the way that she used to back in season 1 when she wasn't a hero, when she didn't even know who Ladybug was. But now that she is Ladybug's right-hand woman, her confidant, she is not allowed to report on certain things because it would jeopardize her secret identity and possibly Marinette's secret identity as well. At the same time, Marinette and Adrien's relationship is starting to cause a lot of problems. Strangers are calling Marinette's parents, demanding to know if she's dating Adrien, and their bakery is getting vandalized by really obsessive fans. And making things worse, an influencer named Vincent, who we actually met in season 1, that creepy stalker, is harassing them and spreading lies about their relationship and also about Ladybug. And I just want to throw in there, why hasn't this guy been locked up? Like, he's a creep, okay? I don't know why he's still here, and quite frankly, I was very irritated seeing him on my screen again. To address the situation, Marinette and Adrien agree to meet Vincent, bring in their parents and their guardian for support. And honestly, this really made me happy because I love the fact that they acknowledged that Marinette and Adrien are still minors and Vincent is a grown-ass adult, and so meeting him in private is kind of dangerous and unsafe. So I'm glad that Tom and the gorilla were like, yeah, we're gonna step in and we're gonna be there, we're gonna be present when you confront this random loser that's been harassing you on the internet. When they meet Vincent, he suggests that they do an interview to set the record straight. At that moment, Adrien and Annette take the opportunity to talk about how they met and how they fell in love. But once Vincent gets his hands on the footage, he actually edits it to make it look misleading and twists the story to make Marinette look terrible. Because of this, Alya decides to take matters into her own hands, using the power of mirage, she disguises herself as an over-the-top Vincent fan, baiting him into confessing that he faked the story. And the plan works and Vincent is exposed. Deserved. What a freak, okay? I did not feel bad whatsoever. Honestly, he should have gotten worse. He should have gotten worse if that was me. I would have done a lot worse, but hey, that is just me. And before he can face the consequences of his actions, he actually gets akumatized into Revelator. His power basically forces people to reveal their deepest secrets by making them cough up some weird glowing orb that contains the truth. Ladybug unfortunately gets hit and she immediately panics, doing everything she can to keep the orb from being touched by Cat Noir and by Rena Rouge. But despite her efforts, Alya gets to it first, and in that moment, she realizes that Marinette has been lying to her about everything. Literally everything. To fix the situation, Cat Noir uses his new power, literally called Miraculous Cat Noir, to erase Alya's memory of what she saw. It seems like the crisis has been averted, but back at the beach, Marinette is still kind of shaken. She cryptically talks about how she fears that Alya would eventually hate her one day, and while Alya no longer remembers what actually happened during the battle, she can tell that something is off, like something isn't right. She starts to wonder what Marinette is possibly hiding and if her best friend is carrying too much of a burden. And that is pretty much the episode. A lot to unpack right here, okay? And I've got some talking points to go through. One thing that I absolutely loved about this episode that I want to talk about is I love how the episode kind of has Marinette feel what it's like to be in Adrian's shoes, because at the beginning of the episode, Adrian is at the beach, right? And he's got all these random people coming up to him, wishing him condolences for his father's death, asking him what he plans to do next on his career. Does he plan to embark on an acting role? Does he plan to continue with modeling? Does he plan to do whatever it is? And Adrian kind of sighs and he's like, I wish people would stop like watching my every move. I hate being in the spotlight. I just don't want to be anything. I just want to have a quiet life. It's like the one person that was preventing him from doing that is gone, and you would think he'd be free from that. You would think that Gabriel dying would essentially free Adrian from all of the expectations Adrian is forced to live up to, all of the things that Adrian didn't really sign up for but his father forced him to do, so modeling, acting, piano lessons, fencing lessons, etc. But in fact, Gabriel dying actually made things worse and put Adrian in even more of a limelight that he never really asked for. And I find that very interesting that Gabriel's death has even more of a hold on Adrian than him being alive. Now everyone thinks that Adrian's dad is a hero, and so it feels like this added pressure on Adrian. But on top of that, people are starting to microanalyze and really just look in on Marinette and Adrian's relationship. Something that's always brought him peace is now starting to bring him a little bit of trouble because of how the media, how the public have reacted to it. Marinette, who's relatively had a quieter life, she's now starting to experience what Adrian experiences on a daily basis, with people criticizing her, with people looking at her every move, with people commenting on what she does and vandalizing her bakery and stalking her and harassing her and lying on her name and doing all sorts of things, right? Another thing I want to touch upon is the fact that the episode talks about the effects of cyberbullying and the effects of mass harassment on the internet, which are issues that are very much prevalent in today's world, right? In a world where social media exists, it's very easy for people to get away with saying a lot of things that they would never say in real life. It's very easy to get caught up in a lot of negative comments, to kind of microanalyze and really hyperfixate on everything that people say about you. And so we kind of see that in this episode where Marinette at first didn't really let the comments get to her, right? Like, it was fine. At first, the comments were just mainly about Adrian and Marinette's relationship, but the comments started to grow and grow and grow, and they became less about their relationship, because people will talk, right? If you're dating a supermodel, or an ex-supermodel rather, that's super famous, right? People are bound to talk about it. But the problem comes when people talk less about the relationship and more about you. So it's like, okay, there are two people in this relationship, but you only focus on one person and you decide to mass attack them. That's where the problem comes in, and I'm glad the episode kind of addresses that. People were really starting to attack Marinette and claim that she manipulated Adrian, she forced him into like giving up modeling, or like, I don't know what they were saying, to be honest, but it was implied that Marinette was kind of like a manipulator and a bad guy, and that Adrian is kind of under her spell and doesn't really know any better because he was in a vulnerable position, and so Marinette took advantage of that. And the more Marinette looked at those comments, the more it started to get to her, to the point where she was staying up all night, she wasn't getting any any sleep, and she was really questioning her worth. One thing that I noticed is that the people that were attacking Marinette, they weren't attacking her looks, they weren't attacking superficial things, they were attacking her character and spreading lies about her character. And that is something that really hits Marinette super hard. She absolutely hates it when people spread lies, but she hates it even when people spread lies about her character that doesn't align with who she is, because she's someone that's had to really work on who she is, grow into this person that she's become, only for people to kind of tear it down and claim that she manipulated Adrian. She already thinks she's not worthy enough to be with Adrian. She literally says it in the episode herself, where she questioned how someone like Adrian could fall in love with her. She questions that every day, and that's fine. Like, those insecurities aren't going to disappear. But when you're already questioning your worth and how deserving you are of love, and then other people as well are compounding that, yeah, I'm gonna crash out as well. I completely understand why Marinette was staying up till ridiculous hours of the night, didn't get any sleep whatsoever, because like that pretty much is a defamation of character. Speaking of defamation of character, isn't that kind of illegal? Like, I'm no lawyer whatsoever, but the fact that Vincent was actually spreading so much lies to the point where people were vandalizing the bakery, that's enough to get sued, and that is enough to get arrested, in my opinion. I needed Adrian Agreste to hop on Instagram Live and settle this straight, but that never happened, so. My next talking point is about a line that Vincent says that really stood out to me. Vincent says, "People only want exciting stories, whether or not it's true." And for me, this line perfectly encapsulates the sad world we live in, especially in a world where social media is growing quite quickly, right? It raises the question, why do people lie? Why do people believe lies? Why do people not value the truth? If we sit down and answer this question, we'd be here forever, because honestly, there are a multitude of reasons as to why people lie. People lie because they are afraid of what the truth might reveal about themselves specifically. It's more so like a defense mechanism. It's specifically why Lila lies. Why do people believe lies? People believe lies because sometimes the truth is a little bit too painful to accept. Sometimes the truth is scary because it means, okay, now that we know the truth, what's next? Sometimes we wouldn't know that next step. There are a number of reasons as to why people lie. And Vincent is absolutely correct that people only want exciting stories. I guess because it satiates the boringness of life, essentially. Because think about it, if we didn't have social media, if we didn't have gossip, things would be very boring. Peaceful, but boring, you know? And peaceful isn't bad. We've kind of normalized that the absence of like turmoil is boredom, which that should never be the case. So drawing it back to the episode specifically, Adrianette's relationship is nothing interesting. They're pretty much just lovey-dovey. They go on dates, they hold hands, they kiss, they like, you know, they're just a normal couple. But that is boring to the general media. The media wants gossip. And so Vincent, understanding how the world works, understanding how social media works, social media would rather push out negativity than push out positivity. It's really sad, but unfortunately, negativity draws in the views. If I was to make a video saying Marinette sucks, Marinette is a Mary Sue, I can guarantee you that video will blow up way more than a video defending Marinette. That is sad. And so Vincent, understanding that, he is like, okay, how can I take this seemingly boring and seemingly peaceful couple, twist the story around and get people interested? Which leads me on to my next point. Alya using her journalism skills for the greater good. She says, journalists investigate and cross-reference the facts. Vincent is not a journalist, he's an influencer. And that is so important, because again, in a world where social media is growing, people are starting to forget and mesh the lines between journalism and influencing. Yes, there are certain, you know, gray areas between the two, but at the same time, they are completely different things. Journalism is to inform people. Influencing is to influence and convince people to buy a specific product or to follow your lifestyle. Or I don't know, what Vincent is doing isn't journalism, he's just influencing people, but at the expense of actual people's mental health, because again, it was really taking a toll on Marinette's mental health. And so because Alya is so passionate about journalism and really exposing the truth, and because she's equally as passionate about defending her best friend, she uses the power of Mirage to try and bait him into confessing the truth. And what I love about this specifically is the dichotomy of Alya being the fox holder, handling the power of illusions and lies and deceitfulness, right? Deceit. Yeah, deceit. But Alya being the embodiment of somebody that wants to expose the truth, somebody that values the truth. Like, that contrast, that dichotomy is so interesting. But there's layers to this, right? Even though Alya's powers are rooted in illusions and lies, it's about understanding that you can use certain powers for the greater good. Sometimes it goes back to my saying, in order to beat the villain, you have to be the better villain. You have to play their own game and beat them at their own game. In a way, she does exactly what Vincent says people do. She pretends that she wants an exciting story and Vincent falls for it. She beats him at his own game. And for that, she is absolutely goated. Alya Cesaire, they can never make me hate you. I stan you even more now, okay? They can never make me hate you. And so let's talk about the one thing you guys have probably been waiting for me to talk about. Alya's reaction to finding out the truth about everything. People have been saying that Alya overreacted. People have been saying that she shouldn't have reacted in the way she did. People have been saying that she cannot be trusted now. But why? Give me one good reason why those takes are correct, but I'm going to debunk them. Let's go. First of all, I completely understand Alya's reaction. In fact, I don't think she reacted enough. And that doesn't mean I don't see where Marinette is coming from. Because for some reason, the fandom is so allergic to understanding that just because you understand one character, that does not mean you're invalidating another character's feelings. Why are people failing to comprehend that Monarch, or at the time Shadowmoth, quite literally terrorized Alya's entire family, tried to blackmail her into giving up her miraculous and revealing Ladybug's identity or whatever, nearly unalived her family, and also akumatized her on 3 occasions, I believe? Like, why would Alya not be mad that Marinette called a terrorist a hero and protected him? Just because Marinette was manipulated into doing that by Gabriel Agreste, because I'm not taking away from the fact that Gabriel, in his last moments being alive, he decided to manipulate a 14-year-old girl and put an immense amount of pressure on her to keep the secret. I'm not discrediting that at all. At the same time, it doesn't make it any less right. Gabriel was not just an abuser to Adrian, he was an abuser to the entirety of Paris, because to be able to get into somebody's head, take advantage of their emotions and manipulate them to your advantage, that is abuse. And so by Marinette painting Gabriel as a hero, that is protecting an abuser, and Alya has every right to be angry. I would be angry as well. Like, I feel like people are just not being reasonable and just dogpiling Alya for literally no reason. Well, I can think of 2 reasons, but I'm not going to say that, because the last time I said that, I got jumped in my comment section. Okay. Secondly, Alya is somebody that hates lying, okay? It goes against her entire character. It goes against everything that she stands for. The difference is, Marinette also hates lying, but she sees it as her only resort. She sees it as something that she has to do. And because of that, she sometimes uses it as an excuse, okay? It doesn't make it any easier, but again, like, Marinette is kind of used to it because it's something that she's always had to resort to doing. After season 4, Alya assumed that there was no more secrets between them. We had that whole episode in Gang of Secrets where Marinette confessed that she's Ladybug. She finally let some of that burden onto Alya so that they can both handle it and so that it wouldn't be too much pressure on Marinette. So imagine you thinking like, okay, we're out of the dark now. I can help Marinette in any way she needs me to help. There's no more secrets between us. Like, I can be a great best friend. Only for her to keep lying about something so big as who the identity of Paris's terrorizer was. And you guys are telling me that Alya shouldn't have reacted the way she did? I 100% would react that way as well. I'd react even more because it feels like a slap in the face. It feels like, wow, after everything, after all that we've been through, you are still lying to me. Can we be reasonable? Like, can we try and put ourselves in Alya's shoes? Can we try and have a bit of empathy? Which leads me to my third reasoning as to why Alya is completely justified in her reaction. Because Alya struggles to lie, she feels like it'd be a burden if she kept it from Adrian. It goes back to my point of the fandom not understanding that sometimes when you're defending one character, you're actually subconsciously defending another character. And that's what a lot of people aren't realizing. People are jumping Alya, but they're contradicting themselves, because for a fandom that absolutely loves and coddles Adrian, they are failing to understand that Alya in this scenario is defending Adrian. Wake it up. Wake it up. Alya values Adrian's friendship so much to the point that she would rather not look him in the face and pretend that everything's okay, pretend that his father, his abuser, was a hero. She cannot do that because that is such a slap in the face, okay? That is such a disrespect to Adrian. You can't just look somebody in the eye and pretend and hold this huge secret and think you have some sort of respect for them. And I'm not saying Marinette disrespects Adrian, but it's the principle of things. We don't have much Alya Adrian moments. I wish we did, but judging by the way she reacted, it's just so obvious that Alya really does value Adrian's friendship. She really does respect him as a person and as a friend, to the point where she cannot lie to him. Like, she cannot possibly see why Marinette would lie to him. You don't get to decide what Adrian should or shouldn't know. Neither do I. Truth is essential to someone's personal growth. Wake it up. Clock that tea. Clock it. Marinette, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Yes, Marinette thinks she's protecting Adrian and thinks she's doing it for his own good, but she's really not. She's actually just hindering him, because throughout the entirety of the show, Adrian has always been left in the dark, and that's why he's just been stagnant. Argue with the wall. I don't care what anyone says. Adrian has barely grown. Compare season 1 Adrian to season 6 Adrian. There's not really much difference. He's had his ups and downs where he, experiences some growth, but overall, he's been pretty stagnant, like a flat line. And that's because he's never really found out anything to do with his family, despite the fact majority of the events include him. How does that work? And Alya calling Marinette out on this just vocalizes my frustrations with how the fandom, how the characters in the show, how the writers also infantilize Adrian a little bit too much. They treat him like this baby who is incapable of handling the truth, incapable of managing his emotions, just incapable of anything really. And I don't understand why we're coddling this guy. Like, he's fine, okay? He'll be fine. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It was never Marinette's secret to keep, and it will never be Marinette's secret to keep. Sometimes when we do something, it's for good intentions, and I very much believe that she is trying to protect Adrian and she just doesn't want to hurt him and cause him even more pain. Like, losing your mother is one thing, but losing your mother and your father and figuring out your father is not exactly who he says he is and is actually a terrorist and abuser, like that's gonna hit hard. I 100% agree that Adrian probably would have gone through a depressive episode, would have gone through an existential crisis, okay? Like, he would have been going through it, but that is not her right to prevent him from doing that. Sometimes we have to go through certain pain and we have to come out on the other end of pain in order to grow and evolve as a person. We don't have a right to prevent somebody else's growth. And let me explain how this is harming Adrian to put it into context for you guys. Adrian is an abuse victim. Gabriel kept him locked up, kept him in solitude for quite some time, barely allowed him to go out of the house, barely allowed him to do what he wants to do. And then when Gabriel died, he was presented as a hero. And so naturally this will bring up a lot of complicated feelings, because now Adrian is forced to grieve this man that his father isn't. Now, if Adrian had found out the truth, he'd be able to understand that yes, some people are just terrible people, and sometimes those terrible people happen to be our parents, the people that are supposed to care for us, the people that are supposed to love us. But he could still have love for his dad, because at the end of the day, that's his father. You can acknowledge that your abuser was a terrible person, but you can also love them as well. And it's okay if you don't love them. It's okay if you absolutely have hatred for them. I'm not saying it's one way or another. All in all, I'm just kind of really sick of the Alya hate train, and I'm also kind of sick of people saying that, oh, if Luca had reacted this way, it would have been different. Okay, but that's Luca. Luca is a completely different character. You guys need to kind of sit down and think, like, why are we comparing Alya to Luca? Why are we holding Luca to this much higher standard than Alya? Why are we microanalyzing and critiquing every single move that Alya makes? Is Alya not allowed to have flaws? Is Alya not allowed to react in the same way that's authentic to her character? It's giving double standards. I've also seen some terrible takes that Alya should just support Marinette. And guys, can we please apply a little bit of reasoning? As a best friend, you are not supposed to agree with everything your best friend says. That's just not how a healthy relationship works. If I did something wrong, I would absolutely appreciate my best friend calling me out on it. Because what's funny is that the same people that are now hating on Alya yet again and jumping on the bandwagon are also the same people that were dogging Marinette like a couple of months ago for keeping the secret. You guys are not slick, by the way, because you guys will temporarily put aside your disdain for Marinette just to hop on a hate train for Alya. It's giving something. It's giving anti-blackness. Ladybugs, magical ladybugs, didn't erase Rena's memory. And the reason for that is because secrets aren't physical damage, but instead they're emotional damage. This time, to repair things, we have to destroy them. Ladybug says, isn't that wrong? But then Alya says, no, because it's meant to give people the ability to choose whether or not to share their secret. And that is repairing things. The big thing I want to pick out from this is choice. It's all about choice. It's all about what you do with your choice. It's all about giving people the choice. And I want to tie this line that Alya says to Adrian. Like I said, Marinette thinks that she's protecting Adrian, but by doing so, what she's really robbing Adrian of is choice. It goes back to the episode Pretension, where Gabriel and Marinette have that whole conversation about pancakes, but they're actually talking about the illusion of a choice. Adrian thinks he has a choice in certain things, but it's actually just a disguise. It's actually just the illusion of a choice, which is a psychological and philosophical topic. Go watch that video, by the way, because I really cooked and that video flopped. Marinette lying to him and pretending that Gabriel is a hero and keeping the secret from him. In a way, she is also giving him the illusion of a choice. Now, before anybody misconstrues my words, I am not comparing Marinette to Gabriel. I am not saying Marinette is just as bad as Gabriel, but I am saying that sometimes we tend to fall into the same methods that terrible people do. There is a cycle, and Marinette has accidentally fallen into that cycle without her even knowing it. By lying to him, she is forcing him to grieve in a way that he shouldn't be grieving in, because he's grieving for a man that isn't his father. He's grieving for this hero, but Gabriel is not a hero. When Alya said it's meant to give people the ability to choose whether or not to share their secret, in other words, she is giving Cat Noir the consent to wipe her memory, because yes, she's losing her memory, but at least she chose to have her memory wiped. It's not a case where Ladybug was like, okay, Cat Noir, lock in, wipe her memory. That in itself would be so problematic on Ladybug's part, but Alya is the one that steps forward and she's like, I choose to have my memory wiped, because yes, I found out the secret, but I also choose not to share this secret, and I also choose not to keep the secret as a burden. Marinette has taken away that choice from Adrian, but at least she was respectful enough to give Alya that choice. That's the difference. I cooked with that analysis, if I do say so myself. Marinette was afraid that Alya would hate her if she found the truth. And deep down, that's why she didn't tell Alya in the first place, because she knew this is the one thing that Alya wouldn't defend her on. Upon the multitude of things that Alya has stood by her side and supported her on, this is the one thing Alya would not get behind on. And if Alya, the person who has stood behind Marinette through thick and thin, can't defend her, then what would Adrian's reaction be? And deep down, that scares Marinette, because she knows she's wrong. And she knows if Alya reacted this way, Adrian will probably react the same way, if not worse. And so at the end of the episode, when Marinette is expressing that she's afraid Alya would hate her, Alya responds, you have a heart, and whatever you do it for people's own good. And yes, that is very much true. That's something that's very much fundamental to Marinette's character. But again, as I've said multiple times in this video, Marinette was trying to protect Adrian. And at one point, yes, it started off as a selfless act. But the longer she kept up that lie, the less it became about protecting him and more about protecting herself. And it goes back to the question I asked at the very beginning of this video. Why do people lie? Why did Marinette lie? I want to know your thoughts. What is the deeper reason as to why Marinette lied? Let me know down in the comment section. Overall, this episode really reminded me of Gang of Secrets. I'm seeing a lot of the parallels between this episode and Gang of Secrets, especially when Marinette says, all of this is too heavy, and to which Alya responds, if it's too heavy, two of us are stronger than one. But even this secret is way too heavy for the both of them, to the point that Alya is not willing to compromise her beliefs about exposing the truth just to protect somebody. She values Adrian's friendship, she values Marinette's friendship, but she's not going to compromise her own beliefs just because of that. And that is something that I've always admired about Alya Cesaire, standing her ground no matter what the reaction may be. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I have yapped and yapped and yapped, but now I want to put it to you guys. What did you think about the episode? Loved it? Hated it? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as for today, that's it from me, and I'll see you again next time. What?